retail industry, some of the themes that are coming up. Then we will talk about the value of listening to your customers and empowering your employees with the customer feedback. And we will finish by explaining the value to the business of driving improvements through tactical and strategic actions. And Kathleen and myself will definitely explain this in more detail. So let's start with the first part, the retail themes. These are the themes that I'm seeing every time I'm talking to retailers, and this is what retail CEOs are talking about. CEOs are looking, retail organization CEOs are looking to compete in more digital and diverse ways. Retail CEOs are also seeking to grow into new markets and sectors. And the big theme that I'm seeing over and over again is mobile, and how mobile has really become a strategic driver for the retail industry. So let me start with the first theme, competing in more digital and diverse ways. Well, retail organizations are looking to compete in more digital and diverse ways, and digital is at the top of the agenda for the CEOs. Retail CEOs are actively investing in digital transformation of their business, and a recent study by PwC shows that a full 89% of the retail CEOs see mobile technologies for engaging with customers as of a strategic importance. 81% of the consumers are seeing are you currently using mobile devices and the digital channels to engage with the retailers. So CEOs perceive that they now have a much better use of the data that they collect and manage their supply chains and operations more effectively in order to deliver a more appealing customer experience. The second theme is growth in the new markets and sectors. Why is that? Well, I've just been talking about the digital channel, and what they're doing for the digital channel is building a robust plan with properly defined measures of success to make sure that those measures of success are aligned with the main objectives of growing the business. So in this second theme, basically they're worried about some of the risks that they're seeing. So this retail CEOs are less positive about the state of the global economy than their counterpart CEOs from other industries. And CEOs are seeing a changing behavior in consumer patterns. And this is really representing a risk. For example, 74% of the retail CEOs are concerned about consumer purchasing patterns and the shifts in patterns. What does this mean? This means, for example, if there is a sudden change in new eco-friendly products and you're a retailer, a retail supermarket, and you haven't catered for that, this can have a big impact on the loss of revenue by the retailer. So this is why they're concerned about the shift in the consumer spending patterns, and this is why 80% of the retail CEOs are investing in data mining and analysis of the data that they're collecting. And within this is the customer data, customer feedback. So understanding the customer needs is becoming very important for retail CEOs. So, and the third theme is it's mobile. Retailers face a shift in the way consumers make purchases and interact with brands as mobile technologies become a normal part of the shopping experience. In here you're seeing the population, the global population, 7.2 billion in the world, and the number of mobile users, which is 3.6 billion. This represents a 51% penetration. But if you look at the numbers from an area or country perspective, you can see that in North America, in Europe, in parts of Asia, and Australia, the numbers are well above 100%. So this means that the mobile connections compared to the populations are actually greater. So there's more than one mobile phone per person in those areas. So to be competitive, the retailers are utilizing mobile devices, apps, and content through digital to make sure that they can increase customer engagement and improve customer service. So in addition, retailers are recognizing that mobile technologies can give them a faster processes, for example, transactions on the sales floor, as well as greater opportunity for their employees. Because their retail employees are using tablets and smartphones for consumer engagements, such as product demonstration, discussing in-depth product information, or even price matching on the sales force. That's happening now. This is the last set of data I'm going to show, and it's from Forrester. And it's showing the strategic significance of mobile technology. This is from a study in the US. And it shows that 62% of the smartphone users in the US expect a mobile-friendly website. And 42% of the users expect to find a mobile app, and this applies to mobile retailers. And 23% expect that if you're a retailer and you have a mobile app, you really should know about me, the user, and you should change the experience of the app to me based on my location. We all know, we have all seen the stats for the number of apps in the US, how it has grown, for example, in the Apple Store from 233,000 in 2010 to 10 million, an expected 10 million in 2017. But the interesting thing, the interesting fact that I'm going to share is the fact that in 2017, firms, according to Forrester, are expected to spend 130 billion to engineer their platforms and processes for mobile engagements. And this is in the US alone. So why are they doing this? Because customers are using mobiles, digital channels are becoming more and more important, and organizations are looking to become more customer-centric. And this means listening to your customers. So to set the scene for retailers, I'm not going to go into detail about the different ways how you can collect feedback. If you're interested, I really recommend you to contact Confirmit, and we can provide you with more detail. But just as a high-level overview, if you're a retailer, you can capture feedback from your customers. If you have a customer loyalty program, that's easy because you know them. You've got information about your customers, and you know that all the purchases that they're doing. You can also, you're probably using mystery shoppers to collect feedback and to audit all your different stores. But the trend that I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a growth in this area, is what I call the non-buyer program. The non-buyer program, it's where you as a retailer are looking to collect feedback from all those customers that are attending your physical stores and they're not making any purchases. This is the challenge information, the useful information that can really drive sales. I'm seeing it done through a staff outside the store asking a few simple questions to those customers that are leaving the store. And I've also seen it with displays like this one, where this company is called Bubbly. They offer a stand that shows a survey, which is combined with an instant treat for the customer. So if the customer provides that feedback through the survey, they can choose a prize, which is normally some branded product, and they can get it in return. So that's the freebie. But the value to the business is the fact that they're able to collect all that non-buyer information. Why are those customers attending the stores, going into the stores and not making any purchase? Is it because of price? Is it because of layout? Is it because of stock? All of that, I'm seeing organizations that are doing it through the non-buyer programs. But the other area that I want to highlight with regards to listening, and I'm seeing growth in this area, it's what most of you are probably familiar with. It's called Beacon. Beacon technology and location technology is the key, is becoming the key to collect in-the-moment feedback. It really links the physical channel with the digital channel because the customers are really the same. Sometimes they're on your website, on your store online, and then they go to buy that product that they've been browsing online into the store. So feedback, and in particular Beacon, allows organization to identify all those unique shoppers that have been browsing on the digital channels, and they're now in the store. This is why it's really bridging the gap between the physical and the digital. So let me move into some examples. There are airlines that are already doing this for customers that when they are at the airport to inform them of the gate number, or there's a delay of for that plane so they can stay in a specific area of the airport. Retailers like Macys in the US has rolled out the largest Beacon deployment in retail to date, with more than 4,000 devices to power engagement and marketing efforts through the department store chains. So basically, what Macys is able to do is able to send tailored shopper notifications to all those digital customers visiting the stores. They know that those digital customers have been are registered through the website and through the app, and they're visiting the store for a reason. So they are providing them with coupons. And the last example is McDonald's in Germany. They have also deployed beacons in their restaurants, and they're able to send tailored coupons. So why am I saying this when in reality I should be talking about collecting feedback rather than providing coupons? Well, simply because it is also possible to collect feedback. Think about that non-buyer program. If those customers that have been visiting your website or your digital channels, are visiting your stores, and they're not making any purchase, when they leave, you can send them a feedback form, and you can try to collect that information through their mobile app to understand their needs and what made them, first of all, go into the store, and secondly, not finalize the purchase. So the two trends, the non-buyer programs either done through staff or outside the stores collecting information, or maybe a stand, or considering using beacons. But this is part of the story when we're talking about listening, simply because your customers are there with your employees. Your employees also have a perspective of what's happening on the store. And this is, if you're looking to become a more customer-centric organization, you really need to consider the view of your employees, their perspective. Either your employees in your customer service, your store assistants, and let me pass you to Kathleen, where she's going to be talking about the value of listening to your customers and to your employees. So we've started with listening and some of the new areas that we're seeing at Confirmit, and Kathleen is going to talk into more detail about how to become a more customer-centric and why.
Great, thanks, Miguel. Hello, everyone. So, you know, in order to be customer-centric, the one thing you need to kind of get your head wrapped around is be open to hearing what your customers and employees are telling you. A lot of times, especially if we've been in the business for a long time, we think we know how to do it, but you know, things change, and we need to not get stuck in that paradigm of that's the way I've always done it, and really listen with an open mind as to what we're hearing. Okay. Next. So, in order to do that, you really need to ask the right questions. Not just how satisfied are you, if we kind of go down that path, we really need to dig deeper into what's driving it. That overall satisfaction number may be nice for a press release or a board deck, but it really doesn't give you anything that you can do something with. So, you really need to dig into the drivers and really look down deep into the roots so that you can actually do something with the information that you're getting back. Okay. So, in order to really have that actionable insight, if you take a look at customers, and when I'm talking customers, it's not just those that bought from you. We just heard about how important it is to talk to those who may be in your space and not buying from you. So, we need to understand, let's say, what's important to them. Why did they shop with you, or why did they leave empty-handed? Will they come back and try you again? Will they tell others about you? All of these things I know we've all heard in the past, but sometimes we tend to overlook and really dig into the reasons that are driving these. But at the same time, we need to look at the employees. As we've heard, they're on the front line. They're hearing from customers all the time, and trust me, they are your brand to the customer. So what's important to them? And what are they hearing that's important from the customer? Do they even want to work with you? Why do they want to work with you? And will they stay? Turnover is really expensive, but if we look at both of these and we try to line them up and say, what are we hearing from both sides, we get a 360 view. Okay. And so, you have this whole mound of data on your desk. I'm sure that, you, like I have, it's not a shortage of data. We all know that it's not, will I have work when I come into my office today, but what am I going to work on first? And that's where you really need to prioritize. Base your decisions on facts. What's most important to customers? And if you don't know that, then we need to take a step back and understand that. Because you could be working on something that you could get it down perfectly, but in the scheme of things, it doesn't matter to the customer. So you really need to understand what's important to them and make those your priorities. If there are quick wins, great, do it. But if there are initiatives that won't have a positive impact to either customers or employees, hold off on it. Spend your resources on things that are going to make a difference. Okay? And so as we prioritize these things and we look for similarities, you can kind of see here where, let's say, customers are saying, your items are never in stock. If you go back, it may be that the inventory isn't being delivered on time. Maybe there's not enough inventory, and so we need to look at forecasting and buy differently. Maybe the inventory is in the back room and we don't have the labor hours to put it out when customers need it. And last I checked, if you're in a retail store, we really don't allow customers to go rummage through our storage room in the back and looking for their product, right? So if you take a look at these things and you line up, digging deeper can actually make a resolution for both sides of the equation, for customers as well as employees. The same with, choices of ways to shop. If that's important to customers, can they also, if they're in a store and they happen to be out, can the employee order it online, or can the customer order it online? All things that have much deeper insight than the initial surface would suggest. Okay. And so as we move into, we've got this data now and we need to start engaging. How do we engage both customers and employees? And it's very important to engage both. So with customers, really they're only going to hear you if you send them information in a manner that they want to receive it in. We all just heard how important mobile is getting. So if that's the way that we need to engage with them, we need to make sure that the messaging that we're sending them is on target and ready for the device that they want to receive it in. But social, as we've just heard, very important. And there are 100 times more people being reached through social media than in pre-social media times. So we really need to stay on top of that. From a loyalty perspective, if your loyalty customers are getting the same message that all of your other customers are getting, then even though it may be a little bit richer offer for them, they may not realize it. Sometimes the simplest things are telling them that this is special only for them. And, you know, with your internal communication, you need to keep employees really apprised of what's happening. Because if you're making a change and employees don't understand why the change is being made, it will derail, and I've seen this in company over company, it will derail the whole initiative. What you don't want is employees not understanding and making up their own reasons why a certain initiative is happening, because they 9 times out of 10 will get it wrong and it won't be in the best interest of the customer. So it's very important to keep employees apprised of why we're doing something, and then, you know, kind of quiz them on it. Find out if they really understand what's happening and why we're doing it. Okay? And empowering them, and it's also a little bit of engagement as well, is making sure that your folks have the ability to see how they're doing. We all have, you know, tons of reports that are out there, and they have reports that they need to send into corporate every day. I understand. But if we build a dashboard that allows them to see what their key performance indicators are at a glance, they're more likely to really want to get involved. And it also kind of builds a little competition. So just as an example, you can see how well you're doing in satisfaction. And then if you look at that, how's my store doing? Are we down in transactions? Are we up in transactions? You can even measure that against other stores. But really, and it gets to the heart of what's working and what's not working today. So if I see this and I'm looking at, you know, what's working, my sales staff was really helpful, and the things that people wanted they could buy. I got it. That's great. Celebrate that. From an issues perspective, if I have long lines and maybe my coupons aren't working, I need to fix that. So those are the things that I need to tackle today in order to make sure my customers are being satisfied, I'm meeting their expectations, but also so the employees have what they need and it becomes a pleasant environment for them. Okay? So as you kind of look through here, you know, the customer comments are gold mines, and a lot of folks tend to overlook those. But when you go through and you actually read the comments, you can see the passion and you can understand what's working and what's not working. For instance, if someone just cites customer service as an area that needs to be improved, without really understanding what's driving that service for the customer, it could mean 100 different things. So, and could lead to different action plans. If customer service meant I came in and you didn't have the product in stock, that's one action plan. But if someone else was rude to me or I couldn't find an employee to even help me, it's a completely different action plan. So you need to really understand what's happening and dig through those comments to understand it. A lot of times they're going to call out an employee that did exceptional service. They need to know that. You know, that's a good thing in meetings to pull out. Jack was really, you went over and above helping this customer. These are the kind of things that, from a retail perspective, makes the employees feel great about their job. It motivates them, and who benefits is the customer. So again, it's going back to putting that customer in the middle. Okay? So get your employees involved with the customer. If there are customer comments and the customer wants to be called back and they give you permission to call them back, somebody needs to call them. Because customers, believe it or not, do not expect to get a call back. They fill it out, but they don't always think that someone's going to call them back. They are very surprised and delighted when someone takes the time to call them back and either help them with an issue, resolve an issue, that it now makes them more sticky to you because they feel like you care about them. On the other side, if there are, let's say, operational issues, and we talked about inventory a little earlier, employees will know what the issues are. Involve them in helping to find those operational opportunities and resolve them. Okay? So, identifying what your successes are and celebrate them. Don't let them go unnoticed. You can also, as you celebrate them, replicate them. So you may have a certain area or certain stores that have successes and you're celebrating them. Have these folks come in and talk to others about how they're accomplishing it. And then when you have issues, you need to identify them pretty quickly and course correct. But if you're not keeping in touch with your customer and you're not monitoring, and as this is an evolution, you're going to miss these things. And it's much easier to identify the issues and course correct when they're small than when it becomes all of a sudden a big issue. Okay? So putting your customer at the center is not a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing process as the voice of the customer. But again, you have to make sure that you are really understanding what the customer is saying, being open to hearing what they're saying, and taking corrective action on it. So as you come through and as you analyze, you're prioritizing what's going on, you're engaging your customers and your employees, you're empowering your customers to come talk to you in a manner that they want to. You're also empowering your employees to be able to resolve customer issues. You're involving them, again, by here's what's going on, here's what's happening, as well as allowing them to engage with the customer, identifying what's working, celebrate it. If it's not working, course correct and start the process all over again. So it becomes, from a real practical world perspective, issues that if companies are not engaged in, they find all of a sudden that they may be losing market share, or why are my transactions down, and you're trying to play catch up. It's much easier to start the process early on and manage it all the way through. Even if things are great, there's always room for improvement. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Miguel.
Thank you, Kathleen. So Kathleen has been talking about digging through the comments. So this is what at Confirmit we describe as identifying issues for improvement, and we classify them into two areas. Okay, so you imagine that you are you're collecting all this feedback, but you really need to take some actions. And there are two types of actions that, as a retailer, you can take. You can take tactical actions and strategic actions. So what I'm going to do is to explain them in a bit more detail and refer to what Kathleen has been describing, because she's been talking about all the tactical and the strategic actions, so that all of us understand what we mean. So let's start with tactical actions. These are the business actions that I call them in-the-moment actions. This is where your staff follows individual customers to rescue them or to get advocates. This is where, if you're getting advocates, you could recruit them to recommend your brand. Or if you are trying to rescue the customer, this is where you are contacting them. This is what Kathleen referred as they're going to be surprised, because you're trying to help them with an issue. You're trying to resolve that issue. These are the tactical actions. So let's have a look at the workflow. Your customer provides some feedback through a survey, and the feedback could be either positive or could be negative. If it's positive, the feedback can be sent to your marketing team, so that they can contact them and try to enroll them on your ambassador program. They can become an ambassador program for your brand because they're very happy with the transaction that they have had with your organization, with you, the retailer. So they're more likely to be willing to recommend your brand. In the case of a negative comment, this can be sent to either the store manager or the customer service team manager, the customer service team, so they can take an action. This is the area where it is important to set SLAs with a maximum number of days to respond. The objective is to surprise and to impact your customer. So your employees can be engaged by receiving all those cases, seeing the customer comments, as Kathleen has mentioned, and then take some actions. And then you can use the feedback to either take some actions and log it, or pass it on to the appropriate department. But they will be seeing the customer's feedback as they arrive. So it's really empowering your staff on all the different stores or the different service centers. I'm going to go through an example and try to link it to price, okay? So let's imagine that you're an electronics retailer that is offering an extended guarantee service to your products, okay? You can use the feedback to decode the willingness of your customers to pay a price premium for that service, which in this case is an extended guarantee service for the product. Why is this valuable? Because you can use VOC to surface pricing frustrations. The categorization of cases, which I have just mentioned at the beginning, as the customer provides comment, all those cases are categorized and then actions are taken, can help to put the financial value to those cases. It's either customer loss through the new pricing, or customer very happy, and then you can categorize with the type of product that they've bought. So you can, if you categorize in all the feedback, you can compare the financial value of the new pricing, for example, an extended guarantee service. Imagine that you have increased the price, and then you start seeing some customers complaining about this. Then you can compare all those cases with the customers that are happy with your service and they haven't complained. So it's a very valuable tool when you really want to surface pricing frustrations. That was tactical actions, and I'm going to be talking about strategic business actions. And Kathleen has been describing them. So my idea is to take you through what's a strategic business action. And as Kathleen mentioned, you cannot really do everything. You're going to start getting issues or alerts, and then actions are taken. But the work on what matters and what matters the most to the business needs to be taken into consideration. It's all about a balance between what customers want the most and what will support the company. So these are the strategic business actions where you could consider all those quick wins that Kathleen has mentioned, and or the actions that can contribute to either increase or the revenue, increase in cross-selling of products, or an increase of customer satisfactions. So those quick wins needs to revolve around all those how to take an action that are really going to drive an increase in additional revenue. So if somebody identifies a problem in their branch and they have taken an action, it has worked, and then it has worked, then that action can really be shared across the organizations. So the data, all those actions can be shared across all the different employees. They can, through obviously online dashboards, you can see the prioritization of the areas of improvement. they can drive the overall customer satisfaction. So it really helps you to take some of the actions and monitor the previous actions and share all those best practices, which is what Kathleen has mentioned earlier. Prize the employees for taking all those actions and share them across the organization in the form of best practices. And this is why digital is very important, because they're able to see what's happening. Your employees are able to see what actions have been taken in other stores that have really worked and what actions have not worked, and they shouldn't be even thinking about trying. So I'm going to finish with the driving actions on the digital customers. I mentioned earlier that digital is at the core center of the retail CEOs. And you can use the feedback that's coming from the digital channels to really take some actions to make improvements to your digital channels as a retailer. So this is a question for you. Are you providing or asking for feedback to the customers that are only using your mobile app, for example? There is probably a percentage of your customers that are only making purchases from using their mobile apps. They're not even going into your mobile web store, and they're not even going into your online, into your physical store. So it is digital is at the core of the CEOs in the retail industries, and collecting feedback from the digital channels only, which are the online stores and the mobile apps, should also be at the core of the VOC program. So we have tried to take you through some of the three business themes that are coming up on the retail industries, which is the retail is trying to compete in more digital ways. They're becoming more and more digital. Retail industry is seeking growth in new markets and sectors, and how mobile technologies, and this is the point I've just finished with, is becoming of a strategic importance to the retailers. And with regards to the VOC, we've been taking you through how to listen to your customers and employees, and I've been discussing how the non-buyer program, it's a trend that we're seeing that it's happening more and more, and how beacons are also being used by some retailers to also collect feedback from all those digital customers that happen to they go to your stores, and is bridging really that gap between digital and physical. Then Kathleen has been talking about how to get the whys, why it's important to get the whys behind the answers, and also why it's important to ask the right questions, so you can map it and you can categorize it into the different categories that are part of your VOC program. How empowering your staff with the ability to view customer comments and their real-time performance really adds value to your organization, and how the actions need to be tactical and strategic, and I've just gone through some examples, and Kathleen also mentioned it. The actions need to be taken, but they need to be monitored to make sure that they are aligned with the business objectives. So with this, we're going to open for questions. See if we have any questions. Let me have a look at this. So I'm going to open this. We have a question through: what type of response do you see through those methods? I think they're probably asking about the response through the beacon. So the response rate through the beacons seems to be as high as the normal feedback, which is the normal feedback varies between 15% and well 10-15%. So I've been involved with a few projects that have started to collect feedback using beacon technology, and it also, what I would say, that it depends on the age group of the respondents. So the millennials, as long as they're getting value in return, they're very willing to provide feedback for a message that appears on their mobiles. So some of those, some of the feedback, it's I've just been seeing it. I've just seen another question. Sorry, what type of response do you see through the non-buyer program as well? So it looks like people are interested in non-buyer programs and Beacon. Maybe Kathleen can talk about non-buyer programs, because I believe you've got some information about that.
Absolutely, and it depends on how involved the customer is to what they were buying. If it was something that they buy all the time, then you may see a 2 or 3 response rate. If it's less off, if it's customers who they really didn't care if they got it or they didn't get it, your response rate is going to be a little bit lower. But typically it's maybe a 2-3% response rate.
Thank you. We also have another question. What is the quickest, most innovative digital initiative that you've seen lately that can be applied to retail? Any comments, Kathleen?
I think some of the mobile, in being able to find more information, being able to move questions and push information back to the customer, as well as have them come back and give you information on the spot. So if there was something that you didn't necessarily get when you were walking out of the store, is there a way, if they're on the shelf, that perhaps they can order it right there and have it delivered, or you are able to actually know that somebody wanted it?
Yes, I would also add SMS, which for some of us looks very old, but I'm seeing the retailers are using it more and more, especially especially to send invites to their customers when they are in the store, because maybe you know that they are using your app, or you provide them. For example, I explained just now a non-buyer program with a stand, so you're collecting their mobile number. So I've seen a non-buyer program where really the value of the non-buyer program is the fact that you are actually collecting the details, with their permission obviously, of your non-buyers, so you can sample them later on. So the simple fact of using one of your employees outside the store can collect information about why those customers are not buying, but they can also add those customers to your database and try to address their needs through a further email, or maybe send them an SMS, and so they can answer through the mobile. So that's something I've seen is quite innovative, and I've seen SMS being used simply because it's very fast to deploy within a specific touch point. You can quickly send an SMS to one of your customers. So that's probably one of the quickest I've seen. We have another
one more thing to add to that is with your loyalty customers and your better loyalty customers, if your staff does not know them and know them by name, give your loyalty customers a reason to go introduce themselves to the store manager. It'll help in your store employees getting to know them by name, but it also makes them more sticky because now they feel like they have a relationship. And I've seen that work in multiple companies.
That's a very good point, Kathleen. We have another question regarding one of the areas that you explained. Can you provide us with some recommendation how to engage your the employees even further? Can you extend on that?
Absolutely. You know, if you're having store meetings, you know, and invite their feedback. A lot of times, folks will ask for store employees' feedback, but never close the loop. And I think one of the biggest things is employees feel like they provide feedback and it goes nowhere, it falls on deaf ears. So engaging them, if you have issues that you need to solve, if it's, you know, we need to carve out more time in the store, or customers aren't liking a particular product, how can we change this? You need to involve them. Now, you know, true that not all employees will be the best ones to bring in and involve, but you'll know the ones that are very vocal and have good recommendations, and you can kind of build that task force or that team, if you will, and make it known that there are various task forces that the stores can get involved in, that then they can actually see those changes being made, and those changes go to best practices. So it's a two-way communication. It's not just gleaning information back from them, but it's also letting them know how the information that they're providing is making a difference. And a lot of that through some of the Confirmit platforms will allow you to allow the stores to provide feedback instantly back to corporate or the specific department that it should go to. Again, closing that loop.
Thank you. It's interesting that you mentioned best practices, because we also have a question about best practices. Samuel, can you provide some examples of some good best practices that you have seen for retailers that have worked?
You know, best practices in a lot of different areas. So if it's, you know, with customer sat, best practice is you really need to understand and have that action, and there's an accountability factor to if something is, a customer gives information and they want to be contacted. One of the best practices is, yes, within 24 hours that customer is going to be contacted. Now, if they're not, there's an accountability factor to that, and you have to have a really good reason for not following up with that customer. I know it may sound like a lot of paperwork on the back end, but you really need to understand that there is that accountability factor. So that's one of the best practices that you can look at from, again, looking at that full circle and understanding that it really works when customers hear back from the employees or the store.
Thank you. That was very interesting. We have reached the end of the webinar, so we would like to thank you for listening, and you will be able to receive the recording of the webinar on an email. So thank you very much from Confirmit.
And thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the presentation. Thank you, Kathleen and Miguel, for being here today and for your great presentation. Please check out cxpa.org for more information about the CXPA, and be sure to mark your calendar for the CXPA's upcoming Insight Exchanges, March 31st in London and May 3rd and 4th in Atlanta. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.